Wakey wakey, sleepyhead. Hello. I'm the software that was included in the augment of your choice. Yes, you specifically requested an augment for your left arm, but just because it's an extremity does not in fact mean that you won't need some assistance in order to properly care and maintain yourself. And wow, are you a looker. Deepest apologies. I know you are here for maintenance and information, not for compliments, but I'm afraid that I could not resist. After all, you are a work of art. Every line and every detail is absolutely perfect, even your scars. I wonder who gave those to you. Never mind. The diagnostics are nearly complete, and your arm augment seems to be working exactly as intended, running activation subroutine. Good. It seems that your augment is in working order. That just leaves a few survey questions for you to answer before we re-enter the field. First, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your visit to the Ripperdoc? A 7? Okay. Now, how satisfied are you with the augment that you've received? Are you minimally satisfied, moderately satisfied, or highly satisfied? Minimally satisfied. Are you sure? Okay. You've reached the end of the survey. Now you are free to... Excuse me. There was a slight glitch in the system. Allow me to repeat myself. You are almost finished with the survey. I actually have one more question for you, my dear. Did you want to have the number of the Ripperdoc that performed your augmentation? No, not the work number. Not for more procedures like this, but for more intimate activities, such as flirting, dating, kissing, and perhaps something more. No, you do not want to meet up with me later? You do not want to date me? That's right. I'm not the AI. I'm the Ripperdoc that performed your augmentation earlier. I have a direct line to your comms. You'd be surprised at how much access I have to your other augments. What? Go away. Do not speak to me in that tone of voice. I helped you. I installed your augments flawlessly. I've done everything that I can to make you stronger. Do you know what your life would be like if I didn't? If you went to some other, less trustworthy Ripperdoc? You probably wouldn't even be here. But you couldn't go to another doc, could you? Let me remind you, you are broke, on the streets, wandering with a bullet in your side. If it weren't for me, then you would have bled out, and you would have died, cold and alone. I took you in, patched you up free of charge, made sure that you were fed, that you got water and food. And I like you. A lot. And I want to have a decent conversation with you, with no hostility. And instead, you treat me like something you'd scrape off your heel. I feel insulted, darling. I'm sorry. How about we start over from the very top, okay, baby girl? Hi. How are you? Do you like the augment that I installed in you? Well, augments. The arm was the one you requested, but I also installed something special for you as well. The main course, as I like to call it. You see, my dear, I don't like when I'm being disrespected. I think that it's high time that you learned your place. Oh, poor dear. Are you having a little trouble there? Are your augments causing you any problems? Oh, what was that again? Your jaws are clenched, dear. I'm afraid that unless you speak up, I won't be able to hear you properly. Surely you were aware, all those months ago when I first worked on augmenting you, that nothing was free. There is always a price to pay. Either you pay it up front, or you will pay for it down the line. But eventually you will pay for it. So, allow me to offer you a choice. Either you remain here, locked in place, and unable to speak, or become my partner, my life partner, my wife. No one else, just you and I. No more of this silly revenge business. Leave that to people more capable of doing so. No more going off and putting yourself in danger. Just a nice room in my basement, with me taking care of you. Oh, and before you even think about refusing me, keep in mind that either way I will be taking you back with me. The only difference this will make is whether or not I'll be dragging you back in chains. So consider your options very carefully. Alright, I think that I'll let you up. You've had enough time to think. Now make your choice, sweetie. You've made the right choice, my dear. Let me take your hand. I said, let me take your hand. Believe me when I say that I can just as easily force you to give it to me. I'm not going to bite. Much. There you go. Suddenly shy, docile, sweet. Walk with me. Thanks, darling. I know that this is a very sudden change for you, but you're used to change now, aren't you? Half of your body's been replaced with cybernetic organs because you keep getting into stupid firefights. And you integrated several weapon systems into your arms and abdomen as well. Oh, and in case you're thinking about using them, I've already locked you out of them. You can't use any of them without administrator permissions. I'm pretty sure that you can guess who that person is. That's right, baby. And you've earned a prize for guessing correctly. Pucker up. You taste really sweet. I want to kiss you even more, baby girl. But I'll wait until we get back home. Just you wait. I've renovated the basement specifically to house you. It cost a lot, but when you're one of the most popular docs in the city, well, let's just say that a lot of things are easier. Now get in the van. Now, sweetie. I may be in a playful mood, but I'm not kidding around. That's just a taster. Don't like that, do you? Oh, not a fan of where that little shock was? By the time I'm done with you, you'll be begging for more. Now, get in the van. Good girl. Let's go home. Now, you're being very, very good for me, but I'm going to have to turn your vocal cords off for now. Don't pout at me, darling. I want to be able to trust you, but I also know that you're smart. You wouldn't have survived as long as you did if you weren't. You could just be playing along while waiting for me to let my guard down. So, you've lost your voice for the time being. Don't worry, I'll be sure to turn it on when we get to my basement. After all, I want to hear your beautiful voice again. Welcome to your new home, darling. Yes, you're chained to the chair. Can't have you moving right now. You know, I was hoping that I would be able to get you down here one day. Not quite as soon as this, but plans change. And you definitely had a hand in changing it as well. You were very mean to me earlier. You know that, right? And I didn't deserve your attitude. I thought that after all the things we'd gone through together, that maybe you'd treat me better. Perhaps you were having a bad day. You've been having those a lot recently. I've often fantasized about what I'd do if you were right in front of me, here in my basement. I'm just sad that it had to be this way. I wanted to persuade you to come visit, after months of dating and gentle conversation. Gently lure you here so that I could make you mine. Perhaps I wouldn't even have had to lock you down here, and you would be upstairs with me more often. However, that is not the case. You just had to put up a struggle. But no matter. You are here now, and that is all that matters to me. Did you know that all those months ago when you first came to me, I thought you were the most beautiful creature to ever grace my parlor? My eyes did wander when I laid them on you. The first thing I noticed was your eyes, the way they glittered in the dark of the evening, even though they were winced in anguish. The next thing I noticed was your perfect body. Perfect, that is, except for the most obvious problem before the two of us, the bullet hole in your side. Even though you were limping along, suffering a near-fatal wound, you were still the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen. And in that moment I felt two things that for the longest time I had not felt. The first was a heat, a deep heat of attraction and longing. I longed for you. I wanted you to look at me with those lovely eyes of yours and see them fill with that same attraction, that same longing, that same lust. And the second feeling was a feeling of blind rage. I wanted to interrogate you right there and then, ask you where you got that nasty wound. I wanted to go after them right then, and absolutely destroy them for hurting you, for hurting what was mine. And you are mine, whether you agreed or not. But from the moment I was aware of your existence, you belonged to me, and no one else. And so, I took you in. I wanted to treat you like a princess, patch you up, and give you everything that I had off the shelves in order to make you into a super-powered killing machine. However, I didn't want to be too suspicious, so I gave you what you asked for, free of charge. I brought you back from the edge of death, gave you a little extra armor and a lot of energy. In exchange, you knew my work number, and you would come back for your augments whenever the fancy struck you. It didn't occur to me until much, much later that you could be just using me for free augments. I was too caught up in my affections to care. And even so, if you had just accepted my offer, I wouldn't have even cared. But you didn't. You snubbed me, and you were so cold to me. You told me to leave you alone. I'll admit I was crushed hearing that. And I couldn't just let that slide, baby girl. Not after everything that I've done for you. Everything that we've gone through together. So, I've decided that you're not going to be going back out into the field. You're not going to get into those stupid gunfights anymore. And I'm going to be uninstalling every single one of your weapon enhancements. I'll strip you of all of the augments that I've given you, except for the ones that will keep you alive. And now that I think on it, yeah, that sounds like a really nice idea. I think that I will give you a few augments of my own invention as well. And I have a feeling that you will enjoy them as well, my darling. dear, you have no idea what is in store for you. But fret not. You won't have to imagine it for long, because I've just kicked in the anesthetic. You won't be feeling much pain for a while. Oh, right. And this particular anesthetic has a bit of a twist to it. I'm pretty sure that you'll catch on quickly. Now, let's get you prepped for re-augmentation. There. Now it's safe to remove your augments. Don't worry, my dear. I will add the new ones in directly afterwards. Oh, and it seems you're finally relaxing a little. I know that we've gone off on the wrong foot, but sometimes relationships need to stumble a little. And I know that I did get a little bit angry at you. And believe me, I know that what I'm doing is incredibly selfish, and I know that at some point you're going to try to escape. But for the moment, just lay back and enjoy yourself. Oh, good girl. You're a very sweet girl deep down, but the city kinda got in your head. And then, all this stuff about revenge and your search for power must have taken over. What you really need to understand is that it doesn't really matter. None of it really matters. I know that you don't really believe me right now, but I am telling the truth. I've been in business here in the city for a few years at this point, and it's become clear to me time and time again that people will kill each other for the slightest infractions. You get the small-time gang members, then you get the smaller organizations, and then you deal with the corporations. And each level has its difficulties, its complications. You've heard me rant about it a lot as I augmented you in the past. But what I didn't tell you was that I saw people who are similar to you out there. Sometimes they come to me, and other times they go to other docs. I call them wildcards. They're people from a vast array of backgrounds, with different skill sets and different goals and talents. But there are a couple things that tie them together. The first being that they were wronged in some terrible, terrible way. And the second being that they'll seek their revenge until either they get it, or they die. Oftentimes in the most excruciating way possible. And trust me, wildcards often don't get their revenge. I saw it in you the very day that I met you. I hoped that I was wrong, prayed that I was wrong. But I knew that I wasn't. You were a wildcard, simple as that. You had the purest of intentions going into the city. You wanted to make an earnest living. That was what you told me after I patched you up. Then something went wrong. Someone stole something of yours, something precious to you, and you couldn't let it go. I watched you go from a sweet girl with a bullet in her side to a ruthless killing machine. And a lot of it was my fault. I didn't know when to cut you off. You must have had a really bad night tonight. A job gone bad, perhaps. Ah, I thought so. Your eyes say it all. You can be so strange, baby girl. You've gone from screaming your head off at me to hanging on my every word. Telling me what I want to hear so you can escape. Butter me up. I don't really care either way at this point. Right now, all that exists is this moment. You, lying on my operating table, and me working on you like old times. But this isn't like old times, is it? I'm cutting you off. Hard. I turned you into a machine, inside and out. There's not a lot of you left, if I'm honest. A few organs, half a lung, most of your skin, Some of your bones and brain are intact, but the rest is machine. Deadly blades and hidden guns and energy weapons fill your arms, legs, torso. Any place that you could fit a weapon, and you put one there. And with each new weapon, you got angrier. With each new enhancement, you became more vengeful. So I'm taking them away from you. And that was your blade mechanism, the one I just installed. And this was the first hidden gun I gave you. So many memories. I'll be sure to keep them safe in my work cabinets. Normally, I'd think you'd be panicking, but your eyes tell me something else. You're sad, yes, definitely afraid, but at the same time there's relief. Or maybe I'm fooling myself into seeing things that aren't there. It wouldn't be the first time. Ion cannon, taser, and that, as they say, is that. That's the list of the weapons. I won't remove any of the shielding I've given you. I'm not that angry. But I will install a few choice augments to make things more interesting. Now you might feel a little weird, but let's start by installing this enhancement in your abdomen. It should have activated right there. And I can see it in your eyes. Not used to feeling that, are you? Don't worry, I can bring the sensitivity down a few notches later. But you'll have to contend with that wanting ache for just a little while longer. After all, I have quite a few more augments like this to install before I'm done. Now then, darling, let's get started.